I still want to be able to live. So like my philosophy, and this is just for me, how do I up my income?
Welcome, everyone, to the Closing Table Podcast. Real accounts from real estate professionals from across the country, brought to you by WindowStill. I'm your host, Kat Schooler, and today I am sitting down with Casey Bellard, real estate agent with RE/MAX Ignite in Beloit, Wisconsin. How you doing, Casey?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with me here today. You have a lot going on. You are a firefighter. You are a real estate agent, obviously. You own a bar, and you have an insurance agency, and you have investment properties. Let's talk about it.
Let's
What
get
came
into it.
first?
Yeah. Everything started when I was, the first thing that I got into was a firefighter. That was my passion, just outside of high school. Took classes in high school, to become a firefighter or paramedic, and that was my goal to do that full time. And so when I was 18, I basically, right after high school, I got hired on one of the local fire departments around Beloit as a paid on call, similar to like a volunteer. So I did that for 3 years while I finished up classes. And then they sent me to paramedic school. And then once I finished that, I got hired full time. So I got hired full time when I was 21 years old, which is pretty young, I guess, to start as a full time career in the fire service. But got kind of lucky with how things fell. And yeah, so started there. And I've been in the fire service for the last, I don't know, around 12 years now.
Wow.
So.
Well, thank you, because we need people like you. It's a hard job. I've known friends of the family who have been volunteer firefighters, and it's intense.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good career. I enjoy going to work, for the most part every day. It has its ups and downs. I would say the biggest struggle and battle with that line of work is probably like lack of sleep and the interrupted sleep. A lot of, obviously aside from like what you see and the calls you go on and stuff like that, can bother a lot of people. But it's really, for me, I think it's the lack of sleep. It's the getting up in the middle of the night when you're in a dead sleep to run out to the bay to jump on either an ambulance or an engine, whatever you're on that day, and go on a call and be able to perform still at a high level that people expect you to perform at. So that takes a toll on you, I think, over the years. So, but yeah, you learn to deal with it, and you try to get sleep, but obviously with multiple other things going on, and I have a 2-year-old at home and a wife and everything else going on, so it's hard to get some sleep sometimes, but we try. So.
Certainly. It's funny that you bring up being a parent, because I was just thinking, it's like being a parent where you got to sleep when you can, right?
Right, exactly.
So you you got your paramedics, you know, training, you're a firefighter. At what point did you transition into real estate?
So everything kind of started in 2021 because I switched departments. I was on the town of Beloit for like 8 years in total, and then I switched to the city of Beloit in
Mm.
2020. So after I did about a year at the city of Beloit until I really dove into like all the other avenues. Um, and really that just kind of came from, I guess, just wanting more, wanting better finances and just being able to do more and be free financially, I guess, and provide more for my family. Um, so, yeah, everything started 2021, I would say January, I think it was, is when I got my real estate agent license with RE/MAX Ignite is where I started. I hung my hat with RE/MAX Ignite because my broker, Otis Johnson, was my hockey coach in high school, and I've known him for a long time. And I also have to give a shout out to one of my best friends, Colin Schindler, who is also a RE/MAX agent and does very well. And he what happened was he moved away to Colorado for like a year. Um, and then when he moved back, he got into starting real estate, and he was just kind of telling me what he was doing and the money he was making because he was doing very well in it. and stuff. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should give it a go, because I've always been interested in the rental property side of things, the fixing, the flipping, the rentals and stuff. So I never really thought about being an agent until I guess my buddy Colin was an agent for a year, and then I got my license and then started with them. So um, that's where it kind of took off, and that I would say real estate sales sprung me into everything else that I do. It's just it kind of happened really fast. Kind of weird when I think back, but yeah, the money, the extra income while working at the fire department through real estate sales sprung me into doing um, buying rental properties, fixing and flipping some homes that I've done. It allowed me to be able to buy the bar when the opportunity came up. And then the insurance sales, uh, kind of the thing with the insurance, I guess, is my wife's father. So my father-in-law manages an insurance company. So that's kind of where that comes from. That was kind of just like an additional, like odd thing that I just thought I would try, and it's worked out so far. I don't actually own, so I write all my homes with a company, um, who is, which Craig is his name, my father-in-law manages, and then I write all my auto with an independent agent, and that's where the Bellard agency comes from.
Mm.
So I write under him, but we have like kind of a buy sell agreement, so that when he's ready to be done with his book, I will have the first option to buy his book should I want to. So that's kind of the real reason why I did the insurance, was because of that opportunity. Because when you start out in insurance, it's very, very slow rolling, for the first, I would say, 5 years until you build up a decent book of business. So
Yeah, it makes sense. It seems like anything kind of with that commission sales thing, it all seems like it has a similar kind of timeline, that it's very slow to start out. I'm sure just like, with real estate,
yeah.
until you kind of get that maybe referral based business, or just more established. So that is a lot. And I totally see how kind of once you got into real estate and buying and selling, kind of opportunities just presented themselves, right? But how do you manage all of that? Because I'm sitting here listening, and I'm sure people are out there listening, and they're like, that is just so much.
Yeah, I've had some talks with my wife. I probably need to tone back just a little bit at some point. I kind of just had this thing in my mind where I wanted to get to a certain level, and have a certain amount of kind of passive income and stuff coming in, and then kind of, enjoy life, enjoy my children and stuff. My kids too. We have another one on the way in August. So definitely want to get to that point where I can kind of step back. But how do I manage it? Well, my wife's super supportive. Um, she's a stay-at-home wife with stay-at-home mom with our kid. So that, although that's a job in itself, and she has a ton of responsibility with that, and I give her all the credit in the world to be doing that and staying home with our child, all the time. uh, that also allows me to do what I'm able to do. So, and my schedule with the fire department, so the way we do it is I would go in at 7 a.m. in the morning, on my shift day, and then I would get off at 7 a.m. the next day. So I work 24 hours on, and then I'm off for 48. So that schedule alone allows me to do and fit in the things that I need to do on my days off. And then, we have certain breaks and downtime and things like that, at the fire department, that I can do some computer work and stuff like that while I'm there, as long as we're not on calls and stuff like that. So, yeah, I would say, having a supportive wife is the first step. Someone that, whoever you decide to spend your life with, is going to kind of have the same vision as you, and be supportive in that way. So,
Oh, that's so wonderful. And congratulations to you both on expecting your second. That's so
thank you.
exciting. Um, so it sounds like you are just kind of doing what you can when you can, like in the most optimized way. And that makes a lot of sense. With your rentals and things like that, are you and your spouse managing those? Do you have like support there? Are they through a management company?
No, my rentals actually I just do those as well. I have
Oh
so
wow.
I'll tell you what I have. I got um two single family homes, a duplex and a commercial building where there's like a business on the main level and studio apartment up above and a downtown. It's a downtown building. And then I own the bar. So, as far as having like, I don't have like, so a lot of people have, 10, 20, 30, 50 rental properties, and usually that's like their full-time gig or they have a property management company. I mean, I got a lot going on in other areas, but I don't have a ton of properties, two commercial buildings and three other properties. So five investment properties, one of them being a bar and then my primary home. So, on top of doing all the other stuff that I do, when I get that call for a leaky pipe or whatever, it sucks, but I just usually take care of it. And I have plenty of contacts at this point that I've been fortunate enough to gain over the years since I've started kind of doing all this. That if really they're a phone call away if I need to get somebody in there to take care of it for me. So that's really kind of how I do it. I just field the calls myself, and either if I have time, I'll just go do it, or have somebody else do it. So
Very cool. And let's chat about the bar for a second. It's called Casey's Tavern, right?
yeah, it's Casey's Bellray Tavern.
Oh
So
yes.
it's been a bar since like the 1950s, and the people named Mabel and Ray started it, hence the name Bell Ray came from. And then they passed away. Their son Bill took it over for a number of years, and then he passed away, and one of the bartenders that used to work there inherited it. So then she kept it running for a while, and then kind of just closed it down over COVID. So she still used it for like family events and stuff like that. So it wasn't like totally just sitting, but it was closed down for about 4 years or 3 years. So this was it's a kind of a neighborhood bar. There's two bars in a neighborhood, and one of them's mine. And when I was a kid, it was kind of my dad's little stop after work every now and then. So I would go up there with him and run around and shoot pool and drink kitty cocktails and eat cheese curds or whatever. And so yeah, when it came up for sale, it was like one of those things. I was like, I got to go look at this. I was actually sitting at the fire department that day, and I was just on my laptop, looking through commercial properties, which I really never look through. I usually look for single families or multifamilies, and I just happened to check out commercial, and I seen the bar on there for sale, and I was like, let's go look at it. So went and looked at it, and we ended up buying it. So, and the way I bought it was actually it worked out really well because one of my rental properties in Janesville that I had just north of Beloit, um, I had a buyer that I was working with as a realtor, and he ended up buying that house from me because my renter moved out, and I was like, I don't know if I should just keep renting this one or take. So I actually ended up putting it under contract with the buyer I was working with, and then I did a 1031 exchange into the bar. So it's all, when a 1031, for the listeners that don't know what a 1031 is, it's a way to sell an investment property and avoid paying taxes because the profits or the proceeds from the sale of the property roll right into your next one. But excuse me, there is some guidelines that come along with that. Like you have to be ready within a certain amount of time and a few other things. So, but it all worked out like perfect. So that's what, like, I don't know, something kind of just in my gut told me like I had to buy the bar because I had that under contract. I knew I could 1031 exchange it into the bar. Um, you know, it was a bar that I was familiar with. I kind of knew what clientele was going to be there. And I would stop at the club every now and then and have a beer with my dad or whatever. So I kind of just knew the area and what was gonna kind of take place at my bar. So it was a huge risk, and ended up doing it, and it all worked out great. It's working out really, really well right now. So my parents, actually, my dad has been a painter for the last 40 years, and my mom worked in accounts payable at the hospital, and they were both kind of just ready to be done and retire. So it all worked out also perfect in that sense of having managers. So
Mm.
they rolled actually right into the roles that I needed them to. Like my mom, so my mom handles all the like bartenders and like the liquor stock, and payroll. And then my dad handles like the beer inventory, and we do a lot of cleaning in the morning and stuff, so he does a lot of that. And then a lot of different like pools and different things that we do throughout our bar. So kind of just plug them in places that I needed them, and because I knew that I didn't want to be an operator of the bar. I didn't want to be in there every night. I didn't want to, because that might not be healthy either. So I just wanted to be an owner. I just wanted to be an owner, and I made that very clear with them, kind of before we bought the bar, and they were willing to take the risk and jump on board and do it. So that's how that kind of went down, but it all is working out well now. So
Oh, that is so cool because you had that personal connection to the place, and now even your dad is running it with your mom. I think that is so awesome, and especially if you're in a small town. I come from, well, a small town that's getting bigger, but when one restaurant goes down and one bar goes down, it's just like, I don't know, it's like 20% of the excitement, right?
right,
So,
right.
to be able to provide for your community in all these different ways, right? Having these rentals, helping people buy and sell homes, having the bar, I think it's just a really cool way to be invested.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to be invested in the community, and also establish those connections that are so important in any business or industry that you're in. Having those connections, knowing who can fix those leaky pipes, or knowing where you're going to get financing from, or knowing people at the title company, other agents, everything just helps. The more connections that and it can establish good relationships and try to hold on to them, is very beneficial in progressing in any business, I think. So.
Certainly. So, speaking of your, Beloit and surrounding areas that you help your clients buy and sell in, what are some other things you love about your area?
Well, I've been born and raised here in Beloit, and I've always loved this city. It was I so for the listeners that are around the area, or if you're way far away, you wouldn't know. But for the listeners that are around the area, there's always been a bad rap on Beloit. There's always been the stigma of crime and just bad things going on. And back when I was a kid, it was a little more rough for sure. We had our rough areas and we had our crime, and we still do. I'm on the fire department. I see the things that go on. But I will say that we have made leaps and bounds from where we were. And I have to give the shout out to Diane Hendricks, who is owner operator of ABC Supply Company. Um, she's one of the richest self-made women in America or the world. And she actually lives in the town of Beloit. And
Oh, cool.
she's done a ton for the community and has built up our downtown. We got a lot of awesome restaurants. We have the Sky Carp Stadium now, where baseball's. We got tons of things going on, parks and things going up, um, different event spaces, golf labs. Like I said, just awesome places to eat downtown and stuff. So she's really done a lot for the community, and I think it's helped. It's helped a lot. So it's a great place. If you haven't been to Beloit, come check it out. Come downtown and see what we have to eat. And we have what else can I tell you? We have a walking path that goes all the way around the whole river from bridge to bridge. It's like a three point. 2 mile. It's like a 5K, 3.2 mile walk around. There's a lagoon down there. There's parks. Um, so the way Beloit's kind of split up because there's a city of Beloit and then there's a town of Beloit. Um, both have its pros and cons, but yeah, it's a great place and highly recommend anybody to come check it out if you haven't been.
Oh, it sounds lovely. Casey, do you have any like memorable, client moments or stories helping them buying or selling?
Oh man. Um, I not anything that like just jumps out at me, but because there you go from transaction to transaction, and you do try to get on a different level. I try to get on a different level with my buyers and dive into their story and figure out what exactly they want to do because that's all going to be important. Um, but no, I find joy out of like just helping a couple, like one couple that just jumps out to me is they were just recently getting married and they needed a place. They needed a place. They were like getting kicked out of their apartment or whatever, and they were ready to get married, and they were like, "Ah, we need a place to move." And it was just really cool to be able to go through the process with them and finally find them a house and get them in there, and just seeing the look on their face at the closing table. And then when we did our final walkthrough before closing, just it makes you feel really good inside. Being able to help people because it's more than just a transaction. It's more than just the money that we make or whatever. It's just more. It's good to see the people just be happy with closing on a new house. So
Yeah, I
stumbled over.
bet.
I stumbled over my words there. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good. You're all good. Yeah, and especially like, you know, buying a house, right? They say like getting married and buying a house, they're like kind of two of the most expensive things you'll do. Like depending, I think a lot of
Right.
people are trying to not to spend so much on weddings anymore, but
Yeah.
these big life moments and when you couple them together, it can be either very exciting, mixed within some like very stressful times.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Um, there's a lot that goes into buying a house too, and that's why I think it's having a good agent is definitely helpful because there's just a lot of things that could go wrong in a transaction. You got inspections and you got appraisals and you might need certain things on the inspection to get done after the inspection. You might need to have appraisal gaps or there's just all kinds of things that could go wrong, and having a good agent that has your back and someone that's willing to put in the extra work, I think, is very important because there's a million agents out there. You can go pick any agent to work with. It's just find one. Even if it's not me, find one that's going to uh, put in the work for you. And have your back and guide you through that transaction. I'll say that I try, obviously I do have a full-time job aside from real estate. So there's some conversation that you can have on, all right, well, are you going to be able to do what you need to do when I need you to do it type of thing. And it's like, yeah, because I make it happen. And if it's not me, I'm going to have another agent from my office come help you out at a time that I can't be there. I just had to do that actually last night because we're in the middle of a home move and we're moving into our new house. We got yesterday was the bulk day, so we had two men in a truck hauling stuff up at our house and bringing it to the new house. And my one of my buyers that I'm working with texted me a couple houses that she wanted to see, and I'm just like, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to squeeze that in today. So I just, we have a group chat through our office and sent it out to them and said, hey, can anybody help out showing a house? And um, we got it done. So they went and showed two houses to my buyer yesterday while I was finishing my move, and so there's always a way around. There's always a way around it. If I'm at the fire department or doing something else, one of my other things, there's always a way to get it handled. So it's just you need to have an agent that's willing to put in that effort and make sure that happens.
I'd like to take just a moment and tell you about our sponsor. WindowStill provides premium real estate media for agents, builders, and property management companies nationwide. To learn more, visit windowstill.com. WindowStill, helping America find their next chapter. Now, back to the episode. I like that sentiment, that there's always a solution to a problem. Do you think that's just kind of like a natural mindset with you? Is it kind of something maybe that was like more encouraged through your Remax office? Like,
As far as just like my go get it after like attitude, or what do you mean?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that you brought that up because or mentioned that because I was actually just kind of talking to my wife and my friend the other day about this, and I was like, I used to just have the fire department. I would go to work at the fire department, come home, and just do my things. I like fishing and I liked hunting and I like had some other hobbies and stuff, and that would be it. I wouldn't have any other worries in the world. I'd just go to work and come home. But now, since I've started everything, I have a lot going on, and um, I feel like something's changed. I don't know. I do think that the fire department has something to do with why I like to work so much. It could be something psychological from like the job itself, from what we see, or how we handle or cope with the stress that comes from the job. Um, but yeah, I think everybody copes with what they have to see in the line of work like that. Not just firefighters, but cops and nurses and doctors and everyone that has to see traumatic things and go through traumatic experiences. I think everybody handles it differently, and maybe the way that it comes out in me is I like to work and keep my mind busy. I don't like to sit around. I can't sit around. So, and that is something that I've noticed with myself that's changed over the last few years. And I think part of it is because I started different things and I have to other responsibilities and have other people that are relying on me. But also I think there's a part of me that's instilled in me or something psychologically that I like have to stay moving and be busy. And I like to keep, moving forward and making progress. And so anyways, I don't know.
No, I think it's great. I think there are a lot of people, out there maybe trying to figure out balance, right? Is what I talk a lot about with, people in my circle, or how can they do more? How can they optimize? And just to kind of see someone like you who's just doing it is really inspiring. And it's like there is a way. And maybe it's not always thinking inside the box.
Yeah, for sure. I started out, when I met my wife, I was like in credit card debt, just not well off financially. Um, Before I met my wife, I had a lot of fun on my credit card. I'll put it that way. I went multiple trips, did a bunch of things. So I had a lot of fun there, but I was spending money recklessly, and I didn't even realize it at the time, and I met my wife and she had a little bit saved up. She was a nurse when I met her. And then like it just seems like everything kind of changed after I like got married and started to settle down a little bit and establish some different goals and things like that. So, um, yeah, where was I going with that? I was going somewhere with that. I don't remember.
It's all good. Yeah, just I think that is so, you know, I think it's really aspirational, and I think you're doing some really cool things. Though I do have to ask, if you were to start over, maybe we can just relegate it to real estate. If you could start over in real estate, is there anything you would be doing differently, knowing everything you know now?
Not necessarily. I think that I maybe wouldn't get into insurance. I don't love insurance. So I think I would drop that. And I probably, honestly, I probably will drop that at some point. Kind of see what happens with the book of business. But as far as like being a firefighter, and how everything started, the way it all happened is just kind of like everybody's path is different. and this was just my path and the way that it happened for me, and I still got a lot to do. I don't feel like I'm at the top or that I'm the best or anything. Like, I'm very humble about everything, and I just want to keep growing and keep doing well for my family. And my goals are really to just be, free and like financially free and be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And, with the fire department, there's a chance, I'm not saying that I'm quitting tomorrow, but there's a chance that I would maybe be done there and just live kind of more like and do things that I want to do, run my own schedule. And I would probably be busier outside of being at the fire department, but at least I would be able to do and dictate my own life and how I want to do it. So, um, still got a lot to learn, still growing, still, looking at different avenues and things like that. I don't think I need to pick up a different avenue, but it's necessarily, I think I'm good with what I have, but just kind of focusing in on what I have and maybe seeing about cutting a few things out and trying to free up some more time and things like that. So, um, yeah, I mean, that's the gist.
What are some with all of that? What are some of like the biggest lessons you've learned kind of juggling these multiple careers, juggling investments? Because I think a lot of people in real estate, especially starting out, they do have multiple jobs, while they're getting started, and they're battling with multiple schedules. What's a lesson you've learned in handling all these different things?
A lesson I learned, and I guess more advice would be like when I started off, I do not like the Dave Ramsey method, if you're familiar with that. Save all your money and invest in the 401k. Like, I was like, I still want to be able to live and spend money how I kind of want to. So, like, my philosophy, and this is just for me, but my philosophy was, how do I up my income, you know, and how do I just scale that way? So, like, I knew that I wanted to live a certain way. Like, I don't want to have to, like, not be able to go to, I don't know, the classic one is like, go get a coffee. Like, I don't want to like not be able to do that because I'm like on a budget, or like, and I'm not saying you shouldn't watch your money or where you spend it, but my whole thing was, how do I up my income? I want to up my income to be able to provide the life and how I want to spend money. So that was the kind of the first thing I like focused on is how do I up my income? And that really came from real estate sales. That helped a lot. And then it was, all right, how do we go into, instead of earned income and working, how do I go to like passive income and have, money coming in when I don't have to be there? And then that was rental properties. And then from there, it was like, all right, opportunity came up with the bar, opportunity came up with the insurance stuff. All right, the insurance stuff is more like earned income, kind of, but also passive. Like when you have a book of business, you get paid on those policies every month. So it's like kind of earned when you're writing the policy, but more passive later on. So I kind of like that side of it. So that's why I kind of dove into that. And then the bar is like, it's busy because I'm like scheduling events and bands and different things that we do there. So it's busy and it's always something that I have to think about, but it's more passive because I don't work there as a bartender. I'm not a manager. I'm just the owner, and so that's kind of more passive, and I'm there when I need to be there, and there's certain tasks and things that I do. But yeah, that's kind of the question was it. You want to ask the question again? Was it advice on?
Yeah, what advice might you give to someone
Yeah,
starting out?
yeah. So I mean, that's kind of my advice is like if you want to change kind of your situation and where you're at, just focus on first figuring out how you up your income, because you need money to be able to go to a bank and show that you have the funds to be able to get loans for rental properties and doing different things. Um, so up your income. You're gonna have to work. I mean, that's just how it is. A lot of people like to sit around and wish and think that they're going to become successful, and winning the lottery is probably not going to happen, and you're going to have to get out there and get after it and make connections and make it happen. So it's not easy. It's not going to be an easy road. It's not. There's always going to be ups and downs, and like to even think about all the things that I've gone through just this far, just as far as like little hiccups on rental properties and contractors and sales falling through with Remax, and um, stuff happening at the bar and different things with rental properties. Like it's just not easy to manage everything, but if you want to get to a point um, where you have some good things going and good passive income and be able to live the life that you want to live as far as like financially, you have to for one take action. You have to like think about what you want to do and figure out how you're going to find that increased income and take action. You have to do it. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people just don't do it, or they talk about it and don't do it. So yeah, take action, find ways to earn or up your income, and then, don't save it all in a savings account. I don't believe in that either. I think that you should keep your money working at all times, figure out ways to keep it invested. Obviously you need to have a nest egg and some money set aside to be able to handle emergencies that come up or pay your bills and stuff like that. But don't save it all. Don't I feel like some people like they get money coming in and then they're like, oh yeah, I get to I'm gonna save all this money, and then they think they're doing well. But like if you look at years later down in retirement, like that saved money in your account's gonna not really do you much because you maybe made like 0.5% on that money in a savings account. So invest it. Like my rental properties right now they're probably up 20% since I bought them. And the bar does really well for me, and that's a random one that a lot of people probably aren't going to buy a bar, but like, um, so invest your money. Real estate is really the one thing that makes millionaires for sure all the time. And I don't even feel like I'm not there. But I feel like I've done well, and I have some good income coming in now. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my advice, I guess, for people starting off, kind of focus on those things to start. And then from there, it's just really establishing those connections that you need. Like I said, the contractors, the lenders, the other agents, having a good reputation helps too. So that comes from hard work and being knowledgeable in your field and trying to learn as much as you can all the time and make your meetings. Um, so, yeah, that's my advice.
Speaking of continuing learning and things like that, did you have mentors? You did mention you had some people who kind of guided you into real estate, but did you rely on mentors mostly? Were there books you read, courses you took that kind of helped you expand your real estate knowledge?
Um, yeah, so yeah, I made a mistake. I would say it was a mistake. I went to a real estate course one time, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I spent $10,000 on a real estate course and I put it on a credit card, and that was before I knew anything, had anything. That was like, I was like, I want to take a risk and I want to do this, and I did it, and it was stupid, and I shouldn't have, because I think I would have been in the same spot that I am now without doing that. So don't do that. I think that there's plenty of mentors and people around that will help you for free, and you don't need to buy some course and read books. And I mean, you need to read books, but like you don't need to like to pay a bunch of money to get the info. Like it's there, and it's really, after being in it, it's pretty common sense. It really is. It takes work. It takes a little strategy depending on your situation, but it takes those connections. So, but as far as other mentors, yeah, my uncle who lives in the area has some properties. He has like 12, 15, maybe 20 properties. I'm not sure, but he's been doing real estate, just fixes and flips, and owns rental properties as his full-time job. So that's kind of helped me like as far as mentor, but I bought my first property, the duplex, from my uncle, and he did not give me a deal. So don't think my uncle just like handed me the stuff. Like I bought the duplex from him for not a steal at all. So because he's an investor, he's gonna buy low and sell high, and that's what happens. but it was a reasonable price for what it was at the time, and it's gone up a lot in value since I bought it, so it's good. But yeah, so he's helped me out. The course that I bought, which I won't mention the name, I wouldn't recommend doing that. And then other mentors is like Otis, my broker. He's helped me a lot, he got me the kind of the start into everything. Colin, my buddy, he's very knowledgeable in the real estate space. So we talk a lot on different things, and then a lot of it is just hitting the ground running, learning kind of on your own, and see where life takes you.
Casey, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening and watching. This has been The Closing Table, brought to you by WindowStill. Let's try something new here. I want you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you do subscribe, comment on the video, say I've subscribed, and I will personally respond to every comment. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure you're following so that you never miss an episode. Doing these things helps us find more amazing listeners like you. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.